Hello and welcome to the Linc Sports Show. I'm Liam Gibbs and joining me in the studio tonight are Linc Sport reporters Danny Adamson and James Williams. And we start this evening with Lincoln City, and it's a big week for the Imps, who face Forest Green away from home in a big top of the table clash this weekend. However, City may not be at full strength. Harry Anderson and Sean Raggett are both doubts after picking up injuries in the 3-3 draw against Aldershot, while left back Sam Havigan pulled out of the England C squad through injury. Just looking back to Aldershot then, James, a big point for them?
I'd say so. It was an odd game actually, to be honest. Obviously Lincoln didn't start the best. They conceded that early goal, and then two brilliant goals by Nathan Arnold turned it around, and at that point Lincoln were in the ascendancy and were looking like the only team that were going to win the match. I think half-time came at the wrong time for them. They came out in the second half. I know they were delayed actually coming out for that second half, and Danny Cowley said that was because Nathan Arnold was unwell and they were waiting to see if he would be able to take to the field in the second half. He did, but only for a few minutes. Then he went off, then Harry Anderson went off, Aldershot equalised, and then, I don't know, Lincoln just didn't look the same team. They looked like they missed their key players at Arnold and Anderson. They were the two players that really looked like they were going to make something happen for Lincoln. Once they went off, Lincoln didn't look the same team. Obviously went 3-2 down, but to be fair, they showed good character to get back into that match and nick the late equaliser, which they probably just about deserved on the balance of play. And that's the character you need, isn't it? If you're looking at the top of the table, those two, you're missing those two players in Arnold and Anderson, who are big players. They really dug deep to get that point. Yeah, Aldershot are a good team. Saw Aldershot earlier this season as well. And they are a good team, and I knew it was going to be a hard game. And I think Danny Cowley knew it was going to be a hard game. And you're not going to win every game. 10 games unbeaten is not a bad run by any means, is it? So I think Cowley will take that point, and as you say, it could be vital come the end of the season in that playoff race or for the title. But
they did pick up some injuries on Saturday. How do you think they're going to affect the side this weekend?
Oh well, I'm not sure. It's a tough one. If they're without Anderson, especially, I think that could be a miss.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's been a key player for them this season, and I think the left back as well, Harbijan. I think defensively this season they've been rock solid. To be honest, obviously 10 games unbeaten, obviously going to be missed as well.
And if Sean Raggett's out as well, that centre back partnership that Lincoln City have had, they didn't have last year, and they were conceding goals because of it. This season it's been Waterfall and Raggett for most of the season. They found that settled back line really. You know, Bradley Wood's gone back to right back after Beavis' injury, but apart from that, it's been settled. And it'll be a big test. It will test them, and against a team like Forest Green, you don't want to be messing with your backline before a game like that.
Okay. City manager Danny Cowley says his side need to learn how to cope with the injuries.
Well, I think first and foremost you're aware of their style and the way that they play, because it is relatively unique at this level. They're really brave in possession and pass the ball with sort of rhythm, fluidity, and a purpose. So you know we're respectful of the style, and you know you look at them and they've got two players for every position. They've got an unbelievable depth in their squad. I looked at their squad team that played Cirencester on Tuesday night, and that team would do very well in the National League itself. So we're respectful of that, but that's all we are. We're respectful of it. We're not fearful of it. We're excited with the challenge. You know, we go to the game probably as underdogs, which is great for us. We're happy with that. For Nicky and I particularly, we're used to being in that circumstance. It's a story I've sold for an awful long time, and it's an easy sell, the underdog one. But no, we go there with respect for Forest Green, but no fear. We're excited with the challenge that they bring. They bring a real tactical dilemma to you, and a tactical challenge to you, and you have to be very, very well organised and very cohesive in your organisation if you want to be successful there.
And with those injuries, Cowley knows his side will face a tough test this weekend.
It's football. That's football, and that's what it is. And we don't live in a world of ideals. We have to accept that we're going to pick up bumps and bruises and injuries along the way. And The best teams are the teams that deal with the problems in front of them, and if you want to be a successful team, there'll be many barriers in your way as the season unfolds, and you've got to find a way to overcome them. You know, you either go over them, around them, under them, but you've got to overcome them. So that's the challenge in front of us this week, and it's one that we're trying to attack head on.
It's a massive game this weekend, isn't it? This one. Can Lincoln still win the league?
Ooh, it's a big question, isn't it? I'm not sure. I think if Forest Green win this weekend, I can't see anyone stopping them, to be honest.
I think they're just the points ahead. I don't think Lincoln would need to pretty much win most of their games, and maybe like Forest Green to slip up. I just can't see them doing that, to be honest.
We saw Forest Green slip up last year when they were ahead in the league. So they are capable of doing that. It's whether Lincoln can capitalise is the question. They go on these good runs, but then they have a few bad games, and we've seen that on a couple of occasions this season. And so I think they've got to be consistent, Lincoln, if they're going to keep up that challenge. And I really do think they have to beat Forest Green on Saturday if they are going to win the league.
I do think they have got the character though. Obviously they've shown that against getting a draw this weekend against Aldershot, so why not? They have got character, so
yeah,
I wouldn't put them out of the running just yet.
No, they're a team. There's a real togetherness about them. I don't see any real standout individuals that are saying I want to be the centre of attention, and I think that's a good thing. They have a real team ethic, and I know last week at his press conference Cowley emphasised that, and I think that could stand them in good stead.
And you mentioned that you think it's a must-win. Would Danny Cowley not be happy with a draw, do you think?
Oh, he'd take a draw, yes. I think anyone that goes to Forest Green would take a draw. I think he said in his press conference. I think he's right. Forest Green haven't lost at home this season yet, and they're on a great run themselves. So you would take a point going to a place like Forest Green. But if Lincoln are serious about winning the league, considering the gap that they are behind Forest Green at the moment, he'd love a win. A win would really be a statement of intent and put them back in amongst that title challenge.
And just imagine the confidence it would give the players going away to Forest Green, getting a victory. I think that could push them on then.
Well, it certainly promises to be a really intriguing encounter. As we mentioned earlier, Lincoln had a couple of players represented in the England C side that beat Estonia this week. Midfielder Elliot Whitehouse was one of those players and scored in the match. He's yet to start a match for the Imps, but he's sure his chance will come soon.
I think just over a month. Of course, you'd like to start as many games as you can, but I know that I was coming into a winning team. I've spoke to the gaffer before I came, and like I say, I've been trying to give as much input when I come on. But no, he's pulled me a couple of times. But like I say, we're winning. The players are doing great. And if I was in the starting 11 who was winning, then I wouldn't like to be dropped. So it's like I'm trying to be as professional as I can and understand that. And like I say, be patient and just keep working and getting my head down. And like I say, hopefully then when the time comes, I'll be ready for that.
So opportunities for Whitehouse since he joined from the Linc have been coming from the bench. Do you think he deserves more of a chance in the starting lineup?
It's a tough one, really. Alan Power came in and has done very well in midfield. I didn't think he had his best game against Aldershot on Saturday. I would say that. Whitehouse came on and he didn't have an effect. I think if you've seen the goal, his overhead kick sets up Reed, but it was a mishit overhead kick at the same time. So don't really know if you can claim that as an assist for Whitehouse, or whether that would be something that he could argue should mean he's in the team on Saturday. But I think he does add something different. He adds a different dimension. And with the injuries that Danny Cowley's got, he's obviously going to be looking at his bench and players like Whitehouse and thinking, should I start them? A game against Forest Green's a big game though. Would you start Whitehouse? You give him his first start in a game like this. It's a call that Danny Cowley has got to make, and it could define where Lincoln's season goes essentially.
Yeah, I'd have to say I think it's probably too big of a game to try and put a lot of pressure, especially a midfielder as well. He's going to have to try and control the game from midfield as well. I'm not saying he's probably quite capable of doing that, but it's the pressure as well, the build up to it.
Yeah, I don't think Whitehouse is a defensive-minded midfielder, so I wouldn't start him ahead of Power in that position. I think you've got to have Woodyard and Power in that base, and I think Whitehouse would be used as more of an attacking midfielder. That would then change the system ahead. Would you go two up front, or would you maybe Theo Robinson hasn't been in the best form in recent weeks? Maybe he drops to the bench and Whitehouse goes in just behind Matt Reed, playing off Matt Reed. I'm not sure. It's an interesting decision Danny Cowley's got to make, because obviously his side have gone on this unbeaten run. You don't want to mess with the side.
I don't see why he'd change it now, especially between like a big clash. It's a bit of a risk.
Well, it's certainly going to be an interesting to see who Danny Cowley picks this weekend. Moving on to Lincoln United now, and the Whites continue their impressive cup form this season with a 2-0 win over AFC Rushden and Diamonds on Tuesday. Callum Smith's first half brace was enough for Sam Wilkinson's side to win their FA Trophy second qualifying round replay. The win means they'll travel to National League North side Kidderminster Harriers in the next round. So Danny, you were at Ashby Avenue on Tuesday, what did you make of it?
I think it was a really comfortable win for United, to be honest. Rushden and Diamonds didn't really give as much I thought they were going to bring to Ashby Avenue. Callum Smith impressed me, really, like him and Ward down the left. I think that's a really good partnership they've got there. Just a comfortable win. Yeah.
And down that left side, the two Callums, Ward and Smith, it seems to be a partnership that's starting to develop now, and Smith was a real threat throughout on Tuesday.
Yeah, his first goal, obviously Ward took a short throw in, a quick throw in, sorry, and obviously they pounced on Rushden's slowness to react to that. Good goal as well, and Callum Smith's second goal probably got a bit lucky with deflection, but still a great effort from far out.
Yeah, he's a lively winger, isn't he, Callum Smith? He gives defences a lot to think about, and he worries defences when he runs at them, and that's the player you want in your side. You want a player that can cause defence trouble and can get in behind defences with his speed, and that's what he does bring to the side.
He's played a little bit left back this season. Where do you think he's suited best?
I'd probably say out wide on the wing, something like that. I think you can't really move Ward out from his position at left back. I think he's more defensive minded, so I can't see why he'd change that.
Yeah, he's shown he's versatile, Callum Smith. He played a lot at left back last year, and obviously the Whites did very well making the playoffs with Smith at left back. But I do think he's better further forward. He can be more effective further forward and use his pace more. And Callum Ward's doing a fine job at left back, so why change that?
And clean sheet as well. They've been hard to come by for Lincoln this season, but do you think that the bases are starting to form now for a more solid defence?
Yeah, definitely. I think the match against Spennymoor, the FA Cup, I think that really hit them a bit, took them a bit by surprise. I think maybe put them off the rails a little bit.
Yeah, that was followed up by the 5-2 defeat at Shore Lane as well.
Yeah, but I think they're getting back into the rhythm of things. Like slow. I think with the addition of the new goalkeeper as well, I was quite impressed by him actually.
Zaccardi had a shocking couple of weeks, didn't he? So,
Yeah.
But I think it's also the midfield balance wasn't right in front of them, in front of that defence maybe, and I think Sam Wilkinson's found a better balance in midfield to compensate for defence and attack. Last season, Dave Frecklington found that balance, and that's why the Whites didn't concede very many goals. This season, the midfield's changed a bit in that centre. I think only now Sam Wilkinson's really finding what is effective going forward and defensively.
To get to this stage in the trophy, Lincoln had to beat Gresley in the first qualifying round, and the sides meet again in the league on Saturday. Whites manager Sam Wilkinson's expecting a different type of game this week to the one that saw Lincoln win 4-2 last month.
I think they might show us a little bit more respect. They come with a really attacking team. I'd be surprised if they did it again, because on the day we battered them, especially first half. So it might be a slightly different game. I would have thought it'd be a little bit tighter than the first game. But we're full of confidence now. I think that's 5 unbeaten in all competitions. And more pleasing is the performance as well. Obviously you want to win every game, but when you get performance and the result, it means a lot more to you.
Well, Wilkinson might be expecting a different type of game, but his side can still take confidence from beating Gresley just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I think they can. It's an interesting one. They haven't been playing too great in the league, have they, Lincoln United? It's almost like their cup form's been better than their league form, so I'm not sure. Also, Gresley may now know what to expect a bit more when they play Lincoln United, and they'll set up in a way to stop Lincoln United scoring 4 goals for a start. So I think it would be a tougher match. I still fancy Lincoln United, especially when they're at home. I think they're a good team when they're at home, and they're very hard to beat. They don't often lose a game at home, so I'd still fancy Lincoln United to win that match, but I think it'd be tougher than that 4-2 win was.
They've got to start climbing the table though, haven't they, Danny? I mean, they've got a lot of games in hand, but they've got to get some points on the board soon.
Yeah, it's okay doing well in the cup and things like that, and it's obviously league form that really matters, and hopefully if they could get a good nice one, they've had a few nice runs in the cups, it's just getting that form over to the league, and hopefully they can get the results. And obviously we mentioned just before about defence, just kind of solidifying a bit more, look a bit more solid, hopefully they can build on that and get a few more wins under the belt now.
It's all well and good saying they've got these league games to play, but they're putting themselves under an awful lot of pressure in these games in hand if they don't keep just getting some points on the board to just pull away from that relegation zone. I'm by no means saying they're going to get relegated, because I don't think they will. They're a lot better than many sides in that league, and the side has barely changed from the team that finished in the playoffs last year, and I still think they will be up there at the end of the season, in and around the top half of the table. Whether it's playoffs or not, it's too hard to say. I don't think the cup runs are helping their league form, however. I think they are proving to be a hindrance because they're playing so many games. They're not building
so many games, and that's the thing. Injuries may come into effect later on in the season, so it's dealing with the amount of fixtures they have in such a small space of time, and just trying to. Obviously, we mentioned Callum Smith. He's quite versatile, so I think they may have to call on players to move out of their natural positions and play a bit more around the park.
But you said the cup games are a hindrance, but it's bringing a really high-profile nature to Lincoln United now.
It's a catch-22, isn't it? They've had a great FA Cup run. They got such good profiling of the club from that. Again, with the FA Trophy, they're going well in. And they won the Lincolnshire Cup as well. So, yes, it's a good thing in that respect, and it's fantastic for the club and it's fantastic for the fans and everyone involved. But they need some consistency in the league. And I think the cup, playing a league game then a cup game, a league game and a cup game, the mentality doesn't get focused.
It's disruptive, isn't it?
It doesn't get focused on one particular thing. And sooner or later, they're going to be knocked out. Probably going to be knocked out of the FA Trophy. I mean, obviously, we'd all love to go and see them win it, but there's going to come a stage where they do need to focus on the league just to get points on the board.
Well, we'll certainly be hoping the Whites can take their cup form into the league this weekend. Let's move on from Lincoln United to MK Dons. I know what you're thinking. I didn't expect to be talking about MK Dons either, but Steven Gerrard is reportedly in talks to become their new manager. The Dons are 21st in League One and have been linked with former internationals Ryan Giggs and Frank Lampard, with Gerrard being the latest name to be linked to the job. So guys, this has come a little bit out of nowhere. Do you think Gerrard would make a good fit?
I didn't even realise he had all of his badges yet to coach at that level, but I did think he was going to go into behind the scenes, maybe get a bit more experience from another coach and that. So yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go behind the scenes at Liverpool. I was very surprised. Where's MK Dons come from? I know that there's other vacancies in football management, but it's Gerrard and MK Dons seems like an odd one to me. It's bizarre. He's got no real experience of managing. He's got no connection. And going to a club that are struggling in League One.
Yeah.
Big stadium though, potentially big fan base in a big city.
And a potentially very difficult job.
Yeah.
To keep MK Dons in League One. They do not want to be getting relegated to League Two, considering they were in the Championship last year.
That's not going to look good on his record as his first managerial job if you can't keep him up.
He could walk in there and do really well.
Yeah.
But I'm very surprised. He has, surely Liverpool will have offered him a route back into coaching with them.
Perhaps a development.
And he could have learnt there. He could have worked with someone like Jurgen Klopp and been learning his trade at a club that he's loved and played for most of his career.
But is that right decision then for Gerrard moving forward? Do you think that's what he should do?
I think so. It's difficult to say until he confirms and takes on this MK Dons job. I mean, I don't think it's by any means there yet. We'll see. But if he struggles, then everyone's going to remember that weird spell that he could possibly have at MK Dons, and that could taint the early part of his managerial career. You don't often see ex-players of the calibre of Steven Gerrard starting off at MK Dons, and a club like MK Dons.
So who would be the right man for MK Dons then? Someone with a bit more experience or a younger character who could possibly bring the best out of what is a young squad there?
Danny Cowan?
I wouldn't want
Don't
to
want to
see
start that again.
It's a difficult one, especially with a young squad. I think, obviously, you mentioned Danny Cowley jokingly, but obviously they've got quite a young squad at Lincoln City, and obviously a young manager has come in and helped them and developed them and got a real ethos at the club, and probably something like that MK Dons could work, but who's to say?
Who knows who they're looking at? Let's be honest, we wouldn't be talking about MK Dons if Steven Gerrard wasn't linked with the job. So It could be anyone. It could be anyone of those managers that goes round on the merry-go-round, and it could be any one of them.
Could be Roy Hodgson.
There's a vacancy.
There you go.
Perfect fit.
It's one to keep your eye out for
Sam
anyway.
Allardyce.
Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for this week. Thanks to Danny and to James for joining me. Make sure to tune in next week for all the latest local and national sports news. And we'll leave you with news that despite being second in the league and unbeaten in 10, all's not quite well at Sinsel Bank. Until then, goodbye.
Brad's been ill this week with it. I think it's man flu really. I've got a dose of it myself, so you have to be careful with man flu. It's dangerous.